Hello guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Jesper Offersen and today we are going to talk about a sunscreen. We are going to talk about the sunscreen from Avène Avene, which is owned by Pierre Fabre, and this is an SPF of 50 plus. So they have tried to make something that should really protect your skin, and it is made for infants, so enfants, and that would be so for babies. So this is for really sensitive skin. So they have tried something new here, kind of like they wanted to make a sunscreen that was not problematic for the environment. So up here you can see there is a little mark here, and it says Skin Protect Ocean Respect. And Pierre Fabre, they have made this new UV filter, and they have used it in here, and they have used it together with 3 other UV filters. But basically then that new UV filter, they could have used it on its own. But if you look into what the EU says about it, then they have tested it and they have said that you can, or they have looked at documents for tests, and they say that you can only use up to 5% of that UV filter in here, so in a sunscreen like this. And therefore, though that UV filter covers the whole range of UV light, then you need to have something else in it as well, because you cannot use, I guess, so much that it is possible to use only that UV filter in the product. So the UV filter is something called phenolene bis diphenyltriazine, and that is made by Pierre Fabre, and it is used in this product here. So the whole thing is that they wanted to make a sunscreen that did not bother the corals mainly, I guess. And they have tested it on 3 species, and that is really good for those 3 species. But have they tested it on fish and stuff like that? It doesn't look like they have it. So it is lower organisms they have tested this UV filter on. So another thing about the EU is that the EU have not tested any sort of environment impact from this product here. So when you read about the impact on the environment from that new filter, then it is Pierre Fabre that have tested it themselves. So this product here is, you can see up here, it has a UVA in a circle. So we have spoken about that before. So that means that it is at least a third of the UVA kind of like protection compared to UVB. So when it says a SPF of 50, then UVA should be at least equal to a third of that. So and again, something to say about that is that that is also in general something companies are testing themselves. So when you see a UVA in a circle, then it is something that the companies that are producing any sort of product that is a sunscreen, they have tested it themselves. It's not tested some sort of official place as such. So that is just something to keep in mind. And here, this is for it says Visage It Corpse, and it is for the face and the body. So I thought, can I then use it on the face? Because usually when you are using something on your face that can both be used on your face and on your body, it tends to be rather greasy. But maybe this from Avene here is an exception, and it is really good on the skin of your face. So there was someone that asked me if I wanted to make a review on this one here. So I of course did that, and it is always nice to try and find something that is good for the environment, or as good as it can get, because obviously it's not something that is good as such, but it's better than what is else out there. So if it's something that is good for the face as well, then it would be really great. So I jumped and I tried it out. So I have tried it out for a couple of days, and we will try it on the skin in a moment. But one thing to say about the other UV filters in here is that it is the modern UV filters, so this product here is not available in America, but of course you can have it shipped to America. So in here you have the usual suspects, and that is Tinosorb S and etylhexyl triazone, and then there is another called UVA A+, and that is one of these modern ones also. So in here it is a fragrance free, so that's good, but does it have a sort of a smell anyway? Because sometimes, just for good order's sake, just shake it up a little bit. Sometimes you have these sunscreens and they don't have a perfume in it, and that's really great, but then they kind of like have another nasty sort of smell like glue or something like that. And I would say this is not overwhelming in any way. I would say it smells like some sort of diluted glue or something like that. So we just take it off like that. We will kind of like try it on this side here, because that's easier for you to see. So we just start and put it on here. And they say it would have actually sink in within 3 seconds. I am a little bit like, really? Maybe if you have really sort of really dry skin, it might sink in really quick. 3 seconds? That's quick. But I would say, as you can see here, we try to work it in. And I have been talking for more than 3 seconds since I started putting this stuff on, and I don't think it has kind of like gone away visibly. We need something on the forehead as well, so we put something up here. I have just my normal moisturizer underneath and my serums and stuff like that. As you saw in the beginning, I just took half a teaspoon, and then half of it on one hand, and then I took it off here, because we don't want to overdo it, because we want to be kind of like fair to the product. So kind of like a quarter of a teaspoon for half a face, but that would be also for the neck and the ear. So we just take a little bit of the stuff on the side here, and we put it a little bit on the eyes as well, because this stuff here, it might be that you would not like to have sunscreen that close to your eyes, but this is a non-sting eye sting technology, and I will say when I used it the other day, it didn't annoy my eyes, so for that it was good enough. It might annoy your eyes, but it is supposed to be a non-eye sting technology. So we need to smear this in. It is completely a chemical sunscreen, so there are no sort of like physical stuff in here, but there is an interesting thing about color, because it has a sort of a orangey hue, and a lot of sunscreens have that because of some of the UV filters. They have an orange sort of hue, and in here they actually say about the product that it doesn't make any sort of white lines or strikes on your face, so it shouldn't leave a white cast, but still they felt the need to add a little bit of color to the product. So it's not a colored product as such, but they have added a little bit in order to, I guess, camouflage some sort of a white flare up or something like that. And what that means is that after a little while, and that will be really noticeable on your eyelids if you put it on your eyelids, and I'll just show you a little picture here on how that looks. So as you can see from the picture, then there is a collection of some sort of reddish stuff on the eyelid, and I will say that anywhere you have any sort of mimicky wrinkle or something like that, like in your forehead, around your eyes and stuff like that, it will be very visible. and I was like, that's really strange, because it's not a physical sunscreen. So why would they add this sort of it's the red colorant they have put in, and it might be that this new filter that they use might give a sort of something that collects in lines, and then they had to sort of color it in, or I don't know. And it is a little bit difficult when you look at the ingredients list, because in the ingredients list it has this sort of other technical name or chemical name, which is phenylene bis diphenyltriacin. And I had a little talk with Avene, because I was a little bit confused, because it said that it contained this triasorb, and then it contained 3 other UV filters. And when I looked at the ingredients list, I found this new one here as well under this new chemical name. So I thought, well, if there's triasorb in it, and then there are these other 3 ones, and then there is this 4th one, then there might be 4, and then triasorb. So I had to contact them and say, well, look, is this the same like triasorb? Is that the same as this sort of new chemical name here? And after a little bit of confusion, I must say, they came back with yet another email, and then in the end they explained that yes, what I had asked about was correct, that there are 4 UV filters in here. So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to find out what is actually in a product, because they might say, in general, companies, they are saying they are using a trade name, and then suddenly they are using chemical names and so on. So it can kind of be a little bit confusing. But if you look at, and I will link to that, the EU link, then you will see that triasorb is also in that paper called this new long name phenylene bis diphenyltriacin. So is this something I will use again and again and again? Are there other reasons that I might not use it than this sort of stuff that collects everywhere, really? As you can maybe see, my face is really shiny, and on this side here it's not as shiny as on that side there. And yes, I could spend a little bit more time, and I could just kind of like work it in, but I must say it will not help. It will continue to be overwhelmingly greasy, and it might be that if I did not use a moisturizer underneath, I could just use this product here. They say it will keep your skin moist for about 8 hours. It is water and sweat resistant as well, but I would like to have my moisturizer on when I'm having a sunscreen on top, because I don't like to just rely on any sort of goodies from a UV filter or a sunscreen. I would like to have my normal trusted moisturizer on, and then I would like to add a sunscreen on top that is not overwhelmingly greasy. And I will say this just kept giving. It was just like greasy and more greasy all day long. And it might be that you can actually see that even that I try and take the worst off here without kind of like taking the whole thing off, you can maybe see that on this side here, yes, I have a pale skin, but it has one sort of kind of pale look here, and on this side here it kind of like has a ghostly sort of whitish, maybe yellowish, reddish, but I would say whitish look. And it collects in any sort of wrinkles, and I really don't. I used it on my arm the other day just to test it on the body and not the face, and we can do that just now. So maybe you can actually see, before I streak it out too much, that it has sort of like a yellowish, orangey sort of hue. But when I put it on my arm, it is not as greasy. And obviously I don't have a moisturizer on my arm, so it will sink in better. But it's just the whole day, it kind of like, yes, it became less and less greasy, but I mean, we are talking like hours after it was still greasy. And why did it stop being greasy? Maybe because I touched it, I put my arm here and there, I had a jacket on and so on, so the greasiness was actually taken up by a jacket or something like that, or wherever I laid my arm. So it's kind of like, this is something that I would not use on a daily basis, and if I used it on the beach, I will be taking up sand all the time. So it will be, I just don't understand this product. Could they not have made something that was better? Because the intention is to make something that is better for the environment than some of the other versions out there, but it just needs that little bit more of a tweak, so we get a nice and non-greasy product. Maybe in the future we will see that, but to say that this is both for the body and the face, I would say it is not for the face. No, it really isn't. So that kind of like was my verdict on this product. This is certainly not something I am going to use again, and I'm afraid that every time I use something from Avene, it is really, really greasy. So maybe they like greasy sunscreens. I don't know. It might be. I have not tried all that they have, so they might have one that is really good and that is a non-greasy. But what I have tried so far is really greasy stuff. So yes, I'm not going to use this in the future. So if you'd like to see more of this sort of videos, please subscribe, hit the bell, and do all the things you must do now to be notified when I upload more of this sort of videos. Thank you for watching. See you. Bye.